Hey, I'm back. Dan Theory at Theory BFF. You can find me on the Twitters at that handle. You can follow my co-host Nick Sparts at Nick Sparts with an S, not a Z, and then Chris Hopper at Hop BFF with two P's. This is Beerfield Fantasy Shots. I'm your bartender. We already did the news on an episode I just posted not too long ago, and of course, while I'm recording it and then posting it, more news comes out. Andrew Luck unlikely to play week one, said by Jim Ursa, the owner. Not surprised. Moving on. So for this shots episode, I want to just kind of I just want to kind of give my preseason, uh, last game of the preseason notes. It's not a stat dive on who did well there. It's who played and who didn't play, and what this may suggest going into the season, in terms of their depth chart position and things like that. This is going to be pretty quick. I'm just going to kind of try to fly through these. I don't want to take up too much more of you guys' time with the last game of preseason. Just want to say thank fucking God it's over with. We're 1 week away from the regular season starting, where all the fun begins. Good luck to all your teams out there. Again, please continue to follow us on all of our social media handles, Twitter, Instagram, at BeerfieldFF, on Facebook, Beerfield Fantasy Football. You can find us on all podcast types of things. Like and subscribe and review us on iTunes and Google Music. We have a podcast mailed ordered where you can try to buy Hopper for a night or 3 or 4 if studio audience allows it. Nick takes requested offers, and if you want my pretty face, yay. Anyways, moving on to the games here. Damian Williams for the Dolphins did not play tonight, but King and Drake did. This is just suggesting that Damian Williams probably has RB2 lock on hold behind JHI. If JHI gets hurt, it looks like Damian Williams is the next up to play. Buck Allen did not play for the Ravens, which means this is suggesting he has a larger RB1 role. He wasn't just playing to cement his RB2 spot. He's actually, I think he has a larger role with there. We've already talked about this a lot in our show and on these shot episodes. Not that we're pro Buck Allen, we just didn't like what we saw from Wes. Sticking with the Ravens game, Ryan Mallett did play for the Ravens, and yet again he does suck. He sucked in this game. I don't think he has the stranglehold on the QB2 spot with Baltimore. Their backups there just aren't great, and they, like for most teams, they need their QB1 healthy and ready to play. I'm talking about you, Joe Flacco. Moving on. Alvin Kamara looks like he did not play for the Saints, and this, kind of like with Buck Allen, suggesting he has a larger role with the first team offense. He's looked great this preseason. Tavares Cadet did play. He played a large role in this last game, which was probably his only competition for his actual role, and I'm thinking that Tavares is playing for his actual spot on the team. Ted Ginn did play as well. This could also mean that his role as a wide receiver too is actually diminishing. It was said throughout preseason that was his role. We like Snead more. I think most people like Snead more. Most people suggest that Snead's going to lead this team. He's going to be second on this team in targets. I didn't see Snead pop up on the stats board. I didn't see him play, so I'm suggesting he did not play as well. But with Tegan playing, there is some concern there in terms of what his role is on the team moving forward. Both Jets starters, Josh McCown and Bilal Powell, did play. I don't know what the fuck the Jets are doing here. They're playing almost all their starters, and not all their starters. Josh McCown's already one hit away from being hurt. Hopper made a joke that he was going to be hurt by the 4th game in the regular season, not the 4th preseason game. It looks like the Jets are trying to get their players hurt. Powell's the only piece on this roster that's worth owning in fantasy. Avoid all Jets players. You may say, well, why don't you take a deep stash dive on like Robbie Anderson or Darius Stewart? Because I think this Jets team could be the worst offense we have ever seen. That's the direction that this team is going in. Outside of Bilal Powell, there's just not much to own. And we see that as, supposedly fantasy experts, which means I suggest a lot of these defenses are going to hone in on Powell and make Josh McCown beat him or Christian Hackenberg beat him when McCown gets hurt or benched. Not a good situation there. Moving on, because I do want to try to keep this close. I do apologize. Every running back for the Giants did play besides Paul Perkins, which to me means they're still trying to figure out who the RB2 is here. I think to start the season, it's going to be Darkwa, then Gallman, and then Sean Drone. I suggest I suspect Gallman to take that spot over sooner than later and be pushing for starting reps or at least a split carry to his favor by week 10 or so in the regular season. Samaje Perine did play, which basically means that Rob Kelly's RB spot is completely secure, and I believe Perine had a bad game too. I think when I saw he was 3 carries for 6 yards or something atrocious like that. Moving on, Marlon Mack did not play, which means he's done enough in preseason so far to earn himself a role. And from what I've stated before on our actual shows is that I think his actual spot with the starters is going to be even higher if Luck misses more time or starts on the pub, as I think the Colts will be leading towards the running game to kind of etch through this first, to get through these games without Luck even quicker. Moving on for the Jays, Corey Grant did not play, which means that he is in strict battle with TJ Yeldon and Chris Ivory for that RB2 spot behind Fournette. He's looked like the best running back outside of those. He looks like the best running back compared to Ivory and Yeldon so far. Sticking with the Jags, Dede Westbrook did play. I think this is only because he missed week 3, which looked to be an injury. I believe it was a chest injury. I'm still sticking with my dart throw and kind of a bold prediction that Dede Westbrook will take over the wide receiver 2 role over Hearns and Marquise Lee some point this season. Moving on to Pittsburgh, Eli Rogers did play, but not Juju Smith-Schuster. This could mean that Juju has earned the wide receiver 3 spot over Eli Rogers. As a show, we believe that Sammy Coates will get cut, and it was really a Rogers versus Smith-Schuster competition. But because Smith-Schuster did not play, and he did play last week, which means he's not hurt, it means that Rogers is the one that's playing for the wide receiver 4 spot, and maybe in competition with Sammy Coates. Moving on to the Browns. DeShone Kizer did not play. I figured he may have maybe seen 1 or 2 snaps since being named the new starter. He's still a rookie. He still needs as much time as he can. He's looked a lot better than we thought he would look so far in his short career, in terms of preseason-wise at least. And I'm excited. I'm really pumped to actually watch him play and progress. He was one of my favorite guys coming out of the draft, and he was actually my #1 rated quarterback because I'm an idiot, maybe. I don't know. Moving on to the Broncos, both Stephen Ridley and D'Angelo Henderson both played. Ridley has looked better than Henderson this game, and it looks like those two are in strict competition for that RB2, RB3 type of role, whatever you want to say Jamal Charles is. I don't think Jamal Charles is a direct handcuff to CJ Anderson. I think Charles' role is strictly just for passing downs. But if Anderson does get hurt, I think Charles will see an uptick in carries. But because of his injury past, the fact that he's coming off his second ACL tear, he's getting older, and Henderson has flashed this preseason. And Ridley, for some reason, still being a theme. Though between Ridley and Anderson, they're in that kind of first and second down competition for work if Anderson gets hurt. A couple more pieces of news here. Tim Hightower did start, looked bad. Joe Williams was the backup there. Looks like those two are competing maybe for the last running back spot on this roster. And if that's the case, it's going to go to Joe Williams. He's a rookie. He was drafted. He was traded up for and drafted. Looks like Hightower stays in San Francisco, maybe up. Hopper has since come down on his Hightower love, and he's no longer claiming him as his own. Last piece of preseason news: Chris Carson did start, suggesting that suggesting that he is not going to be in that direct competition with Rawls and Lacey for first team rep. Rawls is probably still the better pickup here in terms of between him and Lacey. I like Chris Carson as a maybe second half season. He's looked like the best running back on this roster because Procise and Rawls has been hurt and Lacey's been wildly inconsistent. But this is a monitor situation. I expect Lacey to get the start. Rawls is probably the better value though. And if you're looking for a deep team dart throw, Chris Carson is not a bad. Should be owned in all dynasty leagues as well. That's it for my preseason notes for the fourth and final game. Just want to say thank fucking God preseason's over with. As always though, another quick media shout out. You can follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe, leave us notes, reviews, anything else. Let us know how we're doing. Find us on iTunes, all other podcasts and shit like that. Like, subscribe, review, do what you can. Let us know how we're doing. We do this because we want you guys to do well in your fantasy leagues. We want to get better each and every week, each and every recording, each and every episode. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BeerfieldFF, on Facebook, Beerfield Fantasy Football. I'm Dan30. I'm getting the hell out of here. Peace.